Okay, so let's start some reading tips and just a moment. Okay, so let me share from here. Okay, I think you are able to view this one. Is this okay? You there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
what? Yes, Minu. She was just speaking. I was about to ask. Okay, no problem at all. So, Minu, what do you think? What is the total time that is required for the actual reading test, whether it is GT or academic one?
I think it's 60, sir.
60 hours
Uh,
or 60 seconds or what else?
No, sir, 60 minutes, sir.
Okay, so the total time that is assigned for reading is none other than 60 minutes. That is 1 hour time, right? And to make you clear with the fact that there wouldn't be any additional or extra time to transfer your answer to an answer set in reading test, right? So as soon as you have completed your passages, passage 1, passage 2, and passage 3, there would be 3 passages at all. And as soon as you have finished passage 1 or passage 2 or passage 3, immediately transfer your answer to an answer set, right? So the answer set is just same as that of the listening answer set, which was uploaded in Google Classroom already. Okay, so what do you think? What are the things you need to know for the reading test, Sudeep? Any ideas? I think Sudeep is there or not. I don't know. Just I'm requesting Sudeep. Okay, no problem at all. So let me continue over here. Um, yes, what you need to do is that you need to practice a lot, especially in reading. And it's there is the normal statement. It is saying that the regular practice makes a person perfect. Even though you would not be perfect over there, but you would be habituated, and because of that habit, to some extent you can deal with uh, every types of um, reading passage or the test, and you are likely to get the good score. That is what I am concerned with, and you need to focus on the same issue as well. So okay, let's have a look of the same. Okay, look.
Sir, have you opened your presentation there?
Yes, it is not visible there.
Yes, sir. We are not seeing the presentation.
We are not able to see, sir.
Okay, again I'm sharing the same and check whether it works or not now.
sir.
Yes, sir. We can see
Okay,
you
Yes,
now.
sir. Yes, sir.
good. So look there. There are general facts on reading or general ideas on reading. Always give the monkey exactly what he wants. And this is the golden rule in IELTS. Actually, what you need to do is that what actually is being asked, give the same thing over there, right? Do not overthink, do not underthink, but just think properly and then give the answers in that way. So this is the golden rule in IELTS. If you are thinking and analyzing what would happen next and thereafter, or something like that, then there might be quite confusion, and at the end you are likely to have the next answer or the wrong answer there, right? So the reading subtest takes 60 minutes and is in 3 sections over there, right? There would be 3 parts, or the 3 sections would be there, and there are 3 passages with a combined length of 1500 to 2500 words, and a total of 40 questions would be there, right? So in 60 minutes, what you need to do is that you need to go through the text, or the each sections or 3 passages, and you need to finish at least 40 questions from there. 40 questions would be there. And as I told you earlier as well, that after the completion of passage 1, suppose you have started from passage 1 and please do immediately transfer your answer to an answer sheet, because you not be getting extra time to transfer your answer at the end of the speaking test, sorry, reading test, right? So this is what you need to do. Okay, so the passages are taken from different journals, magazines, books, and newspapers, and all the topics are of general interest and are not specialized text. So there wouldn't be hard words or extremely hard words over there in the passage. Even if they are there, sometimes some only few of them would be included in the passage. But if they are there, then there would be the meaning of those hard words, or the scientific names, or some medical terms would be there at the end, or at the bottom of the each page. There would be the meaning, right, with the asterisk sign. So do not panic much, but the passages would be easily readable. They are easy to read and understand as well. But yes, definitely there might be some times to take to read it and to deal with the questions. Previously, initially, you might take 60 minutes or so in order to deal with just part one, or section one and section two, or passage one and passage two. But with regular practice, you would be getting the time to manage time and properly deal with both. I mean, passage one, passage two, and passage three. Finally, okay. So you need to be clear enough that the different types of contents from the journals, magazines, books, newspapers would be there, but they are of general interest. This is the main idea. And the reading passages may contain diagrams. Sometimes there might be diagrams, charts, and sometimes graphs as well. And at least one passage will include an argument. There would be an argument. At least one passage would deal with the same. It means there would be the different types of opinion over there, right? So opinion or the arguments by the scientists, by the medical practitioners, or something like that would be included there. So if the reading passage contains technical or specialized words, as I told you, that there would be a glossary that will be provided to you at the bottom of the page or the paper, right? प्यासेजकै बटममा अथवा इस पेजको उसमा चाहिँ इन्डमा चाहिँ there would be the glossary. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and the questions may come before or after the reading passages in the examination booklet. Sometimes what would happen is that there would be the questions in after the what passages over there, right? So different types of paragraphs would be there, and the questions sometimes there might be some tricky ideas. And only while talking about the 40 questions altogether, there would be 3 to 4 questions only that would be asked a bit randomly. Otherwise, the answers or the questions would be in order. So do not panic much, but you would be knowing this fact over there if you are practicing a bit more, right? So there might be some hindrance, I mean breakage of the questions. Some questions would be a bit earlier than the actual answer. So you need to try it, you need to practice it time and again, and you would be habituated towards it too. Yes, in reading passages in the examination booklet, and instructions and examples are given at the beginning of a new group of questions. So there would be the instructions, right? Is that of the listening test? There would be the instruction, and being based on the instruction, you need to write your answers. As we dealt earlier, that there would be the instructions like no more than 2 words, right? So if the answer is 3 words, you have notified over there, but make sure that you need to write only 2 words or just one word over there, right? Otherwise it would be mistaken. So you need to go through the instructions well in advance, and at the same time you can get some clues from the examples that is given over there, right? Okay, and you must write your answers during the reading subtest on the answer set provided. Otherwise, you might miss the answers even if you are right over there, right? So sometimes what would happen is that you might be, writing the you might be finding out the correct answer, but because of the lack of time you may not transfer the answer to an answer sheet, so it is a mere loss. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So you need to do it in that way. So let's have a look at some tips to follow for reading test in IELTS. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you need to read the instructions carefully. The most important thing is this one, right? As I told you that if the instruction is requesting you to write just one word and or a number, so in that case you can write one word along with number. Otherwise, you can't, right? So in this way, you need to go through the instructions clearly while transferring your answer to an answer set. And it's I told you that you need to encircle or underline the keywords while going through the passage. And I do not recommend you to read the passage initially, but what you need to do is that you need to go for the questions first, and then you need to underline or encircle the keywords, and then after that you need to come back to the passage finally. So do not start to read the passages initially, otherwise you might forget. And even if I try myself, I might forget the focus of the passage over there when I would be going to questions. So त्यति बेलासम्म, till that time we might forget lots of things over there, right? So what is advised to you is you need to go through the instructions, and therefore thereafter you need to go through the examples, and finally read all the questions over there and highlight the keywords. Okay, let's look at the examples, because as I told you even earlier that example is a kind of clue to you to know the things, okay, to know the answers. Okay, so remember the maximum word requirements, that is the part of instruction. So you need to read the instructions carefully, and you need to remember the maximum word limits, and in each passage 1, 2, or 3, there would be the different types of word requirements or the answer formats, right? So you need to go through that. Okay, thereafter, use question keywords to find the answers. That is most important. As I told you earlier, when we were dealing with listening test and practices, like that, what would generally happen over here is that the similar words or synonyms or the different sentence structures would be used over here as well. So mostly the answers would be the in similar forms or synonyms. So you need to know the keywords, and you need to try to find out the answers over there. As I told you that you need to circle the important keywords or the phrases before you read or search for the answers. And it is not only limited to the questions or the paragraph, that is to be done to both parts. And there wouldn't be anybody else to obstruct you while doing while writing your answers over there, right? Whether you are encircling over there in the question paper being provided or in the answer sheet, nobody else would care until and unless you have make the noise over there, right? That is what you need to do. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look, do not forget to make the logical guesses. Sometimes what would happen is that some students may not complete the answers on time, and they would submit the answer sheet by leaving lots of blanks over there, right? Even if they have finished and find out the answers previously, but they would not write the same or transfer the same to an answer sheet. So never commit such mistakes over there. At least it is not the exam of pu- public public commissions in Nepal, right? So there wouldn't be the I mean deduction of the marks over there, right? So you need to at least try and write the answers over there. Sometimes the answers would be correct, and sometimes what would happen is that at the end there might be true false not given, and that cannot be left blank over there, right? कहिल्यै पनि छोड्ने होइन त्यस्तोमा. So you need to try yourself, even if you are not going through the actual passage or so. At least you can do that, and sometimes luckily you might be your answers might be corrected, and so on. So that is what you need to do. You need to go, you need to make the what logical guesses. Okay, and write your answers grammatically correctly. So this is equally important. If you are not writing your answers grammatically well, then you tend to lose your marks. So you need to make sure that you are writing the answers grammatically correctly. So after writing the answers, please read that complete sentence and analyze whether that makes sense or not, or that renders the meaning clearly or not. In this way, you can test or check whether your word or the answer is grammatically correct or not. So that is what you need to do, and simultaneously check your spellings as well, right? So if you are writing spelling, it is incorrect. So spelling spelling is needed. So make sure that while transferring answer, you do not need to be afraid of, but make sure that you have transferred the answer properly and correctly over there, right? So spellings are equally important as that of grammatical correctness. Okay, and make sure your answers are easy to read. Do not write doctory handwriting over there, but you need to make sure that the answers are easily readable, right? So the examiner would check the answers. Hence, those answers are to be easily readable, and they are having the what grammatical correctness and spellings are correctly written over there, right? So that is what you need to do. Okay, so doctor handwriting lekhna paiyena. Okay. Uh, do not read the reading passage first. I told you earlier that you should not go through the passage. And in actual examination, what is not? The speaking test would be excluded from the actual examination, right? Either it would be a bit earlier than that of actual test, or sometimes it would be deferred after the actual exam test, or a bit later, right? So the first one, there would be the listening test. If everything else goes well, thereafter you'd be getting reading test, and finally you would be getting the chance to deal with writing test, right? So in this way the exam would be conducted. After the completion of listening test, you'd be given the reading test. Even if you have not done well in reading listening test, do not panic yourself. Make yourself comfortable and cool, and be just ready for the what reading passes there. Okay, if technical errors are occurring, only then you would be getting some obstacles, or some um, I mean disturbance in the order, general orders, or the practiced order. But otherwise it would be in the same pattern: first listening, thereafter reading, and finally you would be getting time for academic test. Okay, so do not read the passage first. Go through the titles and headlines if they are there. So sometimes there would be titles, headlines, or subheadings, or something like that in the same passage. So you can go through the same and just understand what the actual passage is about, but do not read the passage first there. Okay, so this is what you need to do. Read the text in a logical order. So logical order, you need to read the passage, and in this context, generally there would be the two terms: scanning and skimming, right? Scanning means what? Simply go through the keywords, major focus, sometimes the different types of word formats or the sentence structures would be there. Try to understand those ideas in short um, summary, right? So that would be quite accessible to you to deal with the reading passes. Okay, so that is what you need to know. Scanning, once again, scanning and skimming. You need to just scan, just have a glance over there, and then you need to pick out the best out of that. That is called skimming. दुधको कन्टेक्समा तड निकाल्नुलाई स्किमिङ भन्छ क्या, त्यस्तै हो. So what you need to do is that you need to scan, you need to have a glance over there, go through the content logically in order, and thereafter you need to find out what the actual paragraph or the passage is about. So that is what you need to know. I have I have constructed one rule that is called the pivak. So let's talk about the same. Okay, T, the has THE, three letters. So what does T mean? T means uh, title, right? So you need to go through the title and analyze what is happening over there, right? But at the same time, I told you that you need to go through the questions at first and know the fact, underline or encircle, and come back to the passage. And when you are there in the passage, you need to use the pivot rule over there, right? Okay, so yes, it stands for headings. Heading हेर्नु पर्यो, हेडिङमा के छ त, that is to be checked and try to understand, right? And E stands for example. There might be some examples which might be of some clues to you to write your answers. That's why examples are equally important as that of the instructions, as I told you earlier. And pictures, sometimes pictures will be of great assistance, and picture is worth 1,000 words, it is generally said. That's why by having a look at pictures, you can generalize some ideas on your own before entering into the actual passage or so. That is what it is written over here. And yes, stands for instructions or illustrations. There might be some illustrations or the instructions. You need to strictly follow the instructions, otherwise you are likely to um, lose your marks over there, right? Okay, and in the passage itself, there might be some. I also stands for italics, right? I forget to write over here. I stands for italics too, because sometimes italics, bold or underlined words or the sentences are there inside the passage in order to highlight the importance of the meaning. Right? So they are written over there in order to highlight the meaning or importance. Hence, we need to also be careful while there are italics, bold letters, or underlined letters, and so on. That's why B stands for bold printed words, uh, which indicates that those words are of some importance, right? They can also help you to predict information contained in the passage. That's why bold letters, italics, and even if there are underlined words or something like that, you need to go through the same. Got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Naren is also there, right? Naren, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So electricity is still there. Good. Okay. So A stands for the kind of answers that are required. Also tell you more about the information within the passage, right? So there would be the answers. Some answers would be there. Even though there would be examples, along with that, there would be the answers. How? Sometimes the question would be there and the answer is immediately written over there, right? So in that context, त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा के हुन्छ भन्दा जस्तै एउटा क्वेसन दियो, क्वेसन दिइसके पछाडि आन्सर त डेफिनेटली हुन्छ, सधैँ त तपाईँलाई क्वेसन आन्सर मात्र सोध्दैन. नो, दे डु नट आस्क द answers always. So the answers after the questions are some of um are what some clues to you to write the answers to the next questions, right? So you need to go through the answers over there. त्यहाँको answers but in actual listening test you do not care about the answers after the if the question is having the answers alongside, right? But here you need to go through the answers as well, so that is a clue for you. Okay, and yes, Q stands for the questions themselves that provide the valuable hints to you. So make sure that some questions would have the negative intentions, right? So in that context you need to know about that. You need to encircle that immediately. Which of the following is not being talked by the speaker, or sorry, by the writer? Not is there, but you'd be confused if you are not going through the not, right? And you while going through the options you'd be finding out almost all, and almost all things have been talked or written by the writer in the actual reading test. You might think in that way. That is a bit negative. So that's why you need to understand the question, and you need to encircle and highlight the keywords over there. Make sure that the question is quite positive or negative, and you need to formulate the answers accordingly. Got it? Okay. So consider the passage layout. You need to know about major three or four things over there. So there would be the passage, then you need to know about where it begins, and when the test ends. That is to be known. And the passage, each passage is to be completed within 20 minutes time frame, because you'd be having just 60 minutes there, right? And how many questions are there in each test, and so on. Likewise, how long to spend on a group of questions. You may be given an advised amount of time for particular groups of questions. As I told you that you'd be just getting 20 minutes time per paragraph, right? Sorry, not paragraph, per passage. Passage one, I know, section one अथवा passage one like 20 minutes time would be there, right? And another one 20, and the last and the remaining one will also get 20 minutes time. So within 20 minutes time you need to deal with the passage and finally write the correct answers in your answer sheet. Make sure that you have clearly filled your details beforehand, and you'd be getting time for that though. जस्तै तपाईँको आफ्नो इन्फर्मेसन लेख्न त you'd be getting the time after the reading section. Okay, and the next one is which questions to answer first is also important. So you need to you are free to deal or plan accordingly in this case. Just like what I mean to say is that suppose if you have noticed that passage 3 is a bit easier than passage 1 and passage 2, you can deal. Okay, you can deal with passage 3 over there at first. There wouldn't be any complications or the obstructions from the people who are taking care of the examinations, right? So do not care about them, but make sure that which one is easier. You need to highlight that first. Right? So I would be giving some ideas later on. If you are following that, then definitely you can manage your time and write the correct answers timely at the same time. Okay. Okay. So, as I told you that there are two terms over there, scanning and skimming. So, scan the reading passage. Do not read from the very top to the end, and do not invest a lot of time over there. You need to scan the passage in order to, why it is being used over here. The term scanning is being used over here because you need to have the clear understanding of the questions, and if that is done, then immediately you'd be having some connections or similar words or something like that in your passage over there. That's why by scanning you would be identifying what is the actual answer over there. So that is what you need to do. Okay, read the topic sentence first, and if there are the headings, you need to go through the headings or the subheadings as well. That is what you are recommended to do. And read around the keywords or the phrases. That is most important. After scanning, you'd be finding out the keywords or the phrases there, right? And read around the means you need to finally skim finally from there and identify whether the answer is there or not, right? Okay, place the tags across the passage. If you look at the example and the last question of the particular set of questions in a reading tags, and then look at the topic of the example and the topic of the last questions within the passage, the answers to the tax questions would generally lie within the area between those two locations. Sometimes you would be confused. What does this mean to say is that at first you need to go through the examples, right? The examples would be there in the question, and you need to find out the same answer or the example in the actual test, in the actual paragraph or the passage. And then you need to also find out the last question of that passage, and that would be there in the in the and try to find out the answers in the passage, and in between these two things there would be the other answers. As I told you that only 3 to maximum 4 questions would have the random answers, otherwise the answers would be in order. Make sure of that, and it would be clear when you are dealing with or practicing reading time and again. That is what you need to do. Okay. Okay, look for the changes in the sentence order and look for the patterns of of the words and phrases as well. Sometimes type pattern type 1 corresponding words with exactly the same pattern would be there. एउटै प्याटर्नमा आन्सर्स हुन्छ क्या उतापट्टि. So you need to try to seek that one there. And pattern type 2 means corresponding words with the similar patterns would be there. There would not be exactly the same pattern in the passage. However, there would be the similar patterns. I mean, by using the different synonyms or the different types of sentence structures, it would be illustrated there. In pattern type 3, the corresponding words, but with a less recognizable pattern. There might be the changes of pattern, and but if we go through the 2 or 3 sentences, the meaning would be same, which is actually looking by the what question itself. क्वेसनले जे खोजेको थियो त्यही चाहिँ 2-3 वटा एन्सर के अरे क्वेसन्सहरूको मिनिङ बुझे पछाडि थाहा हुन्छ. सो प्याटर्न टाइप 3 इज अ बिट कम्प्लिकेटेड, बट because of the practice it could be easier for you to deal with. Okay, so sometimes exactly same pattern would be there, or same words or sentence patterns would be there, and other times there might be the similar words which would be replacing the actual things over there. um, and in the third type there might be some different patterns, but recognizable less recognizable patterns would be over there. Okay, so this is what you need to know. And find short sentences within the paragraphs. That is what you need to know. Otherwise it takes a lot of time to you. So look for the gist of the paragraph or the sentences and notice for the change of sentence and its meaning. Sometimes there might be not or negative meaning, but you might be searching positive over there within the negative sentences. So that is to be highlighted and you need to know beforehand. Make sure that the answers are written in a copy after the completion of each reading section, and do the easier tasks first and rest in the near end or the last. Right? So here are some other ideas. We are running out of time, so we would be again joining, and I would be illustrating these things later on. Okay.